Well, hey guys, I couldn't be more excited to have Rich Allen with us. Rich is an amazing guy with a great story. So, Rich, why don't you tell the guys a little bit more about you personally and professionally?
Sure, would love to. I'm here in Dallas, Texas, just north of Dallas. I've been here for about 15 years. Originally from Cleveland, so I'm a northern guy down here in the South. I've got a wife and 3 children. Most of my kids are grown. I've got one last daughter in college. She'll graduate this May. And I'm here with my lovely wife, Drew. She's a sign language expert, and she's also a life coach.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's our story.
I got the privilege of meeting you guys on a battleship, an aircraft carrier in social media marketing world. And I got the privilege of meeting Drew as well. And that was a real memorable experience. And so thank you guys for joining ISI. You've been nothing but a blessing from day one in Derek's group, and you just add so much value to the guys. I do have a question about Texas, though.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite thing in Texas? Like, you've been there 15 years now. So what would you say is your favorite thing about Texas?
You know, I would say this. There is no better place on this planet to be in business. The business attitude, the business mindset, just the business growth opportunities are huge in Texas right now. I wouldn't say it's the best place to raise a family. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the best for sporting or any kind of outdoor activities.
Right.
But from a business standpoint, it's everybody's very pro-business minded, and it's a great place to sink your teeth into whatever your profession is.
What about those Cowboys? You a fan?
You know, I told you I'm from Cleveland. I am a Cleveland Browns dyed-in-the-wool fan.
Right.
So I won't talk much about the Cowboys. I will tell you,
you get in trouble.
I will tell you that the Browns will be in the Super Bowl this next year. So when it comes time for you to get scores going, the Browns will be on the winning side.
Okay, we're going to hold you to that. We've got this being recorded, so we'll do. My favorite story about a Texan, he went to Hawaii, and while he was over there, the Hawaiian thought, well, I've got something on Texas, and he pointed to the volcano, and this volcano was erupting. It was huge, and he laughed, and he said, you haven't got one of those in Texas. And the Texan stood there and scratched his head, and he said, no, but we've got a fire department in Fort Worth that could put it out. And so you can never get anything over on a Texan. So I thought that was pretty good. Listen, tell us what your number one hurdle is. Like, what is that thorn in your side right now, either personally or professionally, that you're dealing with, and how can we help you in ISI?
You know, I've thought about this a lot, and, you know, you hear the adage a lot, Aaron, that, you know, a lot of times your biggest issue is you don't know what you don't know. But someone once told me the biggest problem is you don't do what you already know you should do. And I would say for me, I'm a pretty active and pretty motivated guy. And so I've stacked my plate full of 100 ideas and 100 things. I'm involved in several businesses, work with many clients and in a lot of different businesses. And my biggest thorn is that I overcommit. And I typically put more on my plate than I can handle, which is very honestly the value that I'm getting from the ISI group, is that my guys in my group are helping me come to grips with that and be accountable to that. And it's a huge thing for somebody who considers themselves to be an overachiever.
Yeah. Give us a practical example. Like, what is something in business today? I don't know if you're saying you have the shiny object syndrome, or you just literally put more on your plate than you have the bandwidth to accomplish. And then the second part of that question, how does that affect your relationships personally? Maybe with Drew, maybe with other family members, when you really fill your plate up. So tell us both of those.
Yeah, so to be very practical, I mean, there are several opportunities. Like I said, I live in the middle of a business haven here in, north of Dallas in Texas. And so the opportunities just come at you left and right, whether it's different business opportunities or whether it's even opportunities to get engaged in the way that the city's growing, the things that are going on, getting into business groups, those kinds of things. And so those are the kinds of things that typically get my attention because I want to participate. I've got a voice. I want to share. I want to see things develop the way that I think they should. And so what it does is it kind of puts me in a state of a little bit of overwhelm. Mm-hmm. And very honestly, my tendency is to focus on work more than it is to focus on my personal relationships, to be really candid and honest. Sure. If Drew were here, she'd tell you that's the case. It's hard for me to turn it off from time to time.
Right.
And so that's and as a result, I mean, one of the we've been talking a lot about taking date nights and spending time, doing the things outside of work that you need to do to keep a nice balance in your life. And those are the things that frankly I'm getting some huge benefit from, just having guys hold me accountable to that.
Rich, you're not old, but you are one of the senior members of ISI, right along with me, right? And so,
yes, we are.
What advice would you give to some of the younger guys? Like we've got guys 30, 35, 40 years old that are in ISI. You've been down this trail. You're uber successful. I don't know if people really realize how successful you've been in business. First question is what would you tell those young guys that have young families, young children? And then second of all, what do you think inside of you is this motivator to keep loading your plate?
Yeah. Well, here's the advice I'd give to others, Aaron, would be, and in fact, I had a conversation with one of our ISI guys just last week. Sometimes when you're in a group this large, you do run across people who have had some level of success. And if you're a younger guy, your first reaction is, wow, I'm behind. Mm-hmm. I need to go faster. I'm not doing enough. And my advice would be, slow down. Mm-hmm. And don't feel like you've got to make it all happen here this year, next year, within 2-3 years. You've got a long time. When I asked this guy how old he was, he said he was 28. And I said, man, pause, take a breath. If all of us rolled back to where we were at 28, we were way behind where you're at today. But I think there's some perspective lost there.
They measure themselves against other people, right? It's like you're not in their space. You've not got the longevity. You've not got the experience, and yet we feel like we're behind. Social media is one of the things that causes that, right? And so we've got to be careful. All right, what about you personally? Like, why do you what is the motivator inside of Rich that keeps overcommitting? Why are you doing it?
Yeah, this is my hang up that the guys made me kind of come to actually address was, I come from a very large family. I've got 11 brothers and sisters. I came from a very poor family. There probably isn't anybody in ISI who grew up poorer than I did. I'm right there with them, whoever they are. And so I've got this thing in the back of my mind that says, if I can't take my foot off the gas,
right, for
fear that you would end up going back to where you came from. And I know that's not true. I know I'm way past that. I know I'm, there's all these indicators that say that'll never happen, and I know it won't.
Right.
But there's still something. My dad always used to say something. They said, son, there's always going to be someone younger trying to get your job. Mm. And I at this point I don't worry about that anymore. But I always know that I'm trying to outrun everybody that's around me, and I know that that's where that comes from.
So a little bit of fear. So it's fear driven, and we know that that's not the right thing. And so we can help you overcome some of that, pushing through that upper limit challenge. And that's why you're in ISI. At the same time, you've got experience, and you're telling these guys, hey, slow down just a little bit. It's going to be okay. You're going to catch up, and you'll be just fine. So I think that's great advice. Listen, I want to give you permission not to be humble for a second, okay? So take that off and tell me what your superpowers are.
You know, Aaron, I would say that my biggest superpower, and the one that I use the most, is that I have the ability to look into different organizations and see ways that business owners can engage their team in ways that they've not even thought of. I've spent my entire career trying to get employees in a business to be engaged in the strategy of a business. And I'm pretty good at it. And I can see things in other organizations that folks that have been in the organization for a long time simply can't see. And that's what gives me, I get a big thrill out of that, because I love getting into the psychology of what's going on in people's heads. It's probably why I'm tuned into what's going on in my head too.
Right.
You know, look, just because we know what's going on doesn't mean we stop it from going on. It does still happen. We got to admit it and deal with it. But that's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy helping people see the opportunities in their business that, frankly, they've got the blinders on and just can't see it.
Who would be a good fit for somebody talking to you or working with you in ISI, because that's where these interviews are going out to? Who would that ideal avatar be? Who is that person you could help?
You know, for me, that the person that I work with, if you think about a business, it's like you know, there are four hats of a business. One, you know, one's an inventor, one's an operator, one's a business owner, one's an investor. I focus and specialize on folks that are stuck in being an operator and helping them shift the gear, if you will, literally shift the gear to do the things necessary to behave more like an owner. Now, that doesn't mean, I don't want to suggest that I help people get outside of their business.
Sure.
But there are things inside of a business that people have to do to be owners of the business, not just operators, day-to-day operators of the business. And that's where I thrive. That's where I live. That's where 100% of my effort is. It's why the bike hangs on my wall. Everything is focused on helping people move from being just simply, I own a business, but I'm stuck operating it, and I spend very little time doing the things necessary that an owner must do. That's my goal. That's my target.
We may hang up and I may talk to you myself after this interview. So I can always use that kind of help as well. So I may engage you myself. Well, listen, last question. And I want to ask you, what do you bring to the table from a friend standpoint? Why would I want you as my friend?
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't think it's because of my captivating smile.
You're a good-looking guy, Rich. Let's just lay it down.
Well, maybe it may be because of our common hairstyle.
There you go.
But here's the deal. And Aaron, this is why I was drawn to you. You've been incredibly successful. I've been moderately successful. I genuinely care about others enjoying that success and seeing the benefits that can come from doing well in your business that can then translate that into your life. Frankly, the reason I like to hang with guys and the reason I like to be around guys is to help watch that transformation happen.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times we get stuck and frustrated in our business, and then that translates over to our personal life. And I think if you can make the business work well, it frees us up to be able to do incredible things outside of our business. And I genuinely want that for other people. I've been successful. I don't need it. I'm doing this because I love it. And that's what makes it. That's why you want to be my friend.
You know, I was so impressed by a comment you made to me on the aircraft carrier. It was noisy out there, and you pulled me over to the side and you said, I really want to talk to you about joining ISI, but I want to tell you something. And I've heard all kinds of stories, you know, and they start that way. But you said, I've had a measure of success, and what I want to do is pour back into the lives of the men. And I want to tell you, man, I could have hugged you right at that minute when you said that. That was so important to me that you said that, because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for givers, not takers. And you said, man, I just want to pour back into the lives of other guys. And I knew we had a kindred spirit the moment that you said that, and I couldn't wait for you to join. So, Rich, you're an awesome guy, buddy. You've been an asset to ISI. Can't wait to see you at the April live event. We're going to have a blast there. 101 guys are coming there, and we're going to have 2 days of mastermind on steroids. So thank you for sharing with us this afternoon. I really appreciate you, and we'll see you at the live event.
Look forward to being there. Thanks,
buddy.
All right.